We're going to find the indicated sums. In part A, we'll find the sum of the first 50 odd numbers. Remember, we have the formula for odds only. Ooh, that's supposed to be a y there. That's a y. 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus up to 2n minus 1. If you added all those numbers together, it would equal n squared. Let's use that one now. Now, we don't have to use the full formula here because we know the number of numbers we have. We're told 50. We have 50 odd numbers. If we didn't know the number of numbers, like in part C, then we'd have to use that 2n minus 1 that we see in the formula there. But since we have n to be 50, we're told that there's 50 odd numbers. That means the total sum would be 50 squared, which is 2,500. So the sum of the first 50 odd numbers is 2,500. Now we're going to find the sum in part B of the first 50 numbers. I really should have in there natural numbers. Also in part A, I forgot to write that. Well, that means evens and odds. And that formula, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus ... up to n, is the format n times n plus 1 over 2. Well, again, n is the number of numbers, and in part B, we're told we have 50 of them. So this would equal 50 times 50 plus 1 over 2, which I need a calculator for because I don't want to get that wrong. Tell you the wrong answer. It'd be terrible. Loading up a calculator because I left mine at work. Here it comes. Calculator. There it is. Singing the calculator song. Alright, let me just do that. Can I make that bigger? Oh my gosh, where'd it go? Calculator. Okay, there we go. So we'll say 50 times, technically 50 plus 1 is just 51, so I'm just going to say 51 divided by 2. 1275. So if you added 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way up to 50, you'd get 1,275. Now part C. Notice in part C we are adding only the odds. So that means we need the top formula there. That's comment number 1. Comment number 2 is we need to know the number of numbers. I don't know how many odds there are from 1 to 501. So what we do off to the side is we make it look like our formula. So that last number in that list has to have the format of 2n minus 1. So if we set 2n minus 1 equal to 501 and solve for n by first adding 1 and then dividing by 2, I think we get 251. I just want to double check. Math calculator. 251. So that means 501 is the 251st odd number in our list. So that means the total sum is equal to 251 squared. And remember, I'm getting that from the very top here. It's the number of numbers squared. So 251 squared is 63,001. So if you added from 1, if you added 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 all the way up to 501, you would get 63,001. Let's continue to add some sums. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to copy these guys. Copy. Boop. Paste. Awesome. I don't have to write any of that stuff again. You're welcome. So in part D here, notice we are adding evens and odds, which is the second formula there. And we're going from 1 to 1412, which means n is 1,412. So according to that formula, we would say 1412 times 1412 plus 1 all over 2. So this one's a little bit easier because we know the number of numbers. As long as you start at 1, then the number of numbers for evens and odds is just the last number, the biggest number. So let's put this into the calculator. 1412 times what effectively is 1413, because we have to add 1 to it, divided by 2, is a big number. I'm going to put it over here. That equals, 997,578. So if you added from 1, if you added 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 up to 1,412, you'd get that big number. Awesome. Okay, E and F are actually modifications of those two formulas at the very top. Let's talk about what's not there in E. For these formulas to work at the very top, notice they both must start at 1. So what we can do is we can put in the numbers that are supposed to be there. So I did that in green on purpose. And then we're going to put the numbers that we actually do want in purple. Sorry about that. So here's how we're going to find the purple only. What we'll do is we'll find the sum from 1 to 650. We'll subtract the sum from 1 to 97. And then notice, once we subtract those two, we're left with the sum from 98 to 650. What I mean to say is, notice that those numbers in green there are the stuff we put in. So then all we have to do is get rid of them, hence that's why we're subtracting them, and we'll be left with 98 to 650. In both cases now, we are starting at 1, which means we can use our formulas. Since we are adding evens and odds, then we need to use the second formula. So the sum from 1 to 650, according to the second formula, would be 650 times 650 plus 1 over 2, which is equal to 211,575. And now the sum from 1 to 97, again evens and odds, will be equal to 97 times 97 plus 1 all over 2. And throwing that into the calculator, we get 4,753, excuse me. So again, the sum from 197 is built into the sum from 1 to 650. So if we subtract these two numbers, we'll now only get the sum from 98 to 650. Putting that in the calculator, we get 206,822 is our final answer. Yay. And lastly, for part F here, We'll go black. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way up to 400. Notice there is no formula for evens only. Evens only is actually a modification of evens and odds. If they're an even number, that means they're all multiples of 2. So what we can do is we can factor out that 2 from each of the numbers. So if I took 2 out of 2, I'd be left with 1. Plus, if I took 2 out of 4, I'd be left with 2. Plus, and if I kept doing that, I'd have 3, 4, 5, plus, dot, dot, dot. Should be 3 dots there, sorry about that. Plus, and if I took 2 out of 400, I'd be left with 200. That big 2 that we took out stays right where it is. The stuff in parentheses, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 up to 200, follows the evens and odd formula where n is equal to 200. So I'm going to keep this 2 right where it is. I'm going to say times, and then I'm going to have n times n plus 1 all over 2. Notice by design, this big 2 that we factored out is really over 1. So this 2 and this 2 cancels out. So essentially, we just have to do 200 times 201. Bink. And that gives you equal sign, 40,200. So the sum from 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus all the way up to 400 is 40,200.